For 2,000 years, there's been this incredible mystery in material science. How did the Romans build the Pantheon? It's made of concrete in a seismic zone. And after they built it, nobody's been able to figure out how they did it for 2 millennia. Until last year, Admir Masic, scientist, professor at MIT, showed the world, publishing in the journal Science, showing exactly how the Romans did that. Cement is the most used material on the entire planet. It ranges between 8 and 13% of global CO2 emissions associated with making cement, obviously the most used construction material. And we now know, thanks to Admir, how to make cement that lasts virtually forever, use less of it, use less steel. It doesn't cost more. You can make it in any cement plant. And the kicker is it's about 20% less CO2. So this is a major breakthrough. Admir is the founder of a company called DMAT, which is commercializing this. I'm so proud to tell you I'm one of their first investors with the Deep Future Fund. And I couldn't find a more delightful human to hang out with all year long. Admir's an amazing guy. He started his life out in Bosnia, became a refugee as a teenager in Croatia during the Bosnian War, and then managed to somehow go get educated in Italy, and then became a researcher in Max Planck Institute in Germany before becoming a professor at MIT, where he is now, studying all the things that you can do with cement and other amazing things we can learn from material science and antiquity. We spend a lot of time talking about cement, but I promise it's interesting. And we spend some time talking about Admir's childhood growing up as a refugee in Eastern Europe. And it's such a soulful conversation. I'm so thrilled to share it with you guys. And I hope you'll share it with your friends, because everyone can get some inspiration from this story.
I've never met anyone like him.
He could hack anybody's phone in a matter of minutes. Who is that guy? Who can do that?
Thomas is the most interesting man in the world.
He's one of my favorite people on the planet.
Inventor.
Wicked smart.
The master of cutting corners.
If you had a dead body in your trunk, who would you call?
He would get arrested immediately in a lineup.
I stood in line to get his autograph.
You know, his mouth can barely keep up to his brain.
I don't actually know what Pablos does.
A hacker magician.
Man of the future. Future.
You grew up in Italy.
Yeah.
You speak Italian. Where were you born?
Yeah, I was born in ex-Yugoslavia.
Oh, in Yugoslavia. Okay.
So
In the
at
Yugo
that
part or
time-
the Slavia part?
I mean, I did something interesting is that I was a Yugoslav pioneer.
What's that mean?
These are like elementary school,
Okay.
middle school. You grow up as a part of community. So you do like exercises. You have this hat.
You have a hat
Blue hat with
Like a
red,
with a uniform
red star.
on the hat. Is this
Yeah.
like a Hitler Youth thing, or what's the?
It's communist.
No, you have to tell us. We don't know.
Yeah,
We're
I
idiots.
mean, I grew up in a communist.
Okay, yeah. So it was communist at the time, and this is the indoctrination program for education.
Exactly.
Get kids to be a member of the nation, that kind of stuff. Yeah. What do you think about it now?
I maintain this idea of socialism that's an important part of our
Yeah.
As humans, we are social
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
not social network people. We need interaction with others. And when I think about that time,
Yeah.
where in ex-Yugoslavia, where I grew up, the value of organizing, I don't know, activities
Yeah.
like cleaning, adjusting road,
Yeah.
things like that. People would organize like
Yeah.
social
Right.
working exercise where
Yeah.
you for 3 days a week go and
Mhm.
do socially important
Right.
projects. If you think about like high level of this is like a communist youth of ex-Yugoslavia.
Yeah.
People would go for months to
Mhm.
build roads, to
Right.
build the railways.
Yeah.
Like
But here's the
that was
question.
like your contribution.
Yeah.
as a
Right.
human to the society, to the community, and put your work for free.
Yeah. I have a lot of questions about this because you may have noticed we don't do that here.
Exactly.
Um,
I didn't notice that.
but this is actually really interesting to think about because not only do we not do it, we're not even keeping up with paying other people to do those things, which was the American idea of how you would take care of filling potholes or something. I guess the ideal here is that nobody's being coerced to do it. And since you were a kid, you may not have felt coerced because it was like the normal thing for all the kids to do.
Yeah.
But you were being made to do it, whether you wanted to or not. Like if you didn't want to go, could you stay home?
Probably
Once.
I don't remember exactly
Okay.
those details, but it was really like everyone was proud.
Yeah, right.
I know like a father of my wife,
Okay.
so my father-in-law.
Yeah.
He was like a president of Bosnian Communist Jew, and he would organize these things on the scales that are incredible, and people just enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
It's not like you are forced to do because it's work. No, it's work together with others, and you socialize with others. You have you have like artists coming. Playing concerts.
At the end of the day, when you're done working. I get it. Yeah, super cool.
Of these projects,
I wish we
which
had
is
that kind of
completely
thing.
interesting. It's a concept that if we lose, I think we are isolating ourselves.
Yeah.
And I did feel it a little bit when going through my life difference. Sometimes you feel isolated because there are no these opportunities, or better, you are forced to, driven by capital, forced to take care of some things that do not allow you and don't give you space or time to actually be engaged in these. The pressure,
I see,
capital pressure, eventually makes you busy a little bit. Of course, then when you pass the threshold, of course, you can then dedicate more time.
Your time back. But what you're basically describing is people are working in a company. There's a prime directive, which make money, increase shareholder value, justify your job and stuff. But it doesn't, like everything else that you would do is taking you away from that and possibly eroding your ability to do that well. And so you're incentivized not to do it. Whereas if in this structure you're describing is, hey, let's get all the kids together and go fill potholes for a weekend. Everybody's doing it. We're hanging out. We're having, we're working, but we're doing the social thing. We're having fun. We're contributing. It's the roads we drive on. We can be proud that they're not full of potholes. I keep imagining that I wanted to get like a gang of pirates together in the middle of the night that would secretly go fill potholes. And just not mention it, not post about it online. But for the reasons that you described, and again, it would have to, I think the American version of it you have to, in my mind anyway, having not had that experience, I don't buy any of this socialist crap. I don't want anybody telling me I have to fill potholes or do anything. But I think it's a very important thing for people to have some societal contribution, and they should choose it.
And I think that's
and they're not choosing
that's in our evolutionary kind of segment. We have that component in our genes that is required to be a healthy human. That interaction with others.
My view is that we're just like partially evolved. Like we are evolved to work, but we're also evolved to look out for ourselves. And we're not at the point where like people given the option to watch Netflix or fill potholes, they're just going to mostly choose Netflix. And that to me is like a partially evolved human. And so, and maybe in another 100,000 years, humans will be like, oh, we go fill potholes and we watch Netflix. And and that becomes like a normal thing. And to me, and there's no coercion, it's their choice, but society runs better because everybody feels like.
No, I think we will need that transformation in the future. So we'll hit the point in which really we will not be able to exist because we will become so isolated, or our kids of our kids. I don't know when it's going to happen, but that really like isolation will not satisfy minimum requirements of being a human.
Yeah, that's right.
I think
we're really there for a lot of people. Yeah. And there's a lot of suffering going on right now from that. And it's not that, I think that it's a lot of people who were not, one way or another, they didn't discover that they're evolved to work
Mhm.
and to derive a sense of satisfaction from working and being valuable to others and contributing to.
Not that we are
Yeah.
inventing
No, I know, yeah.
something new. Then
Armchair
in
philosophy.
every religion,
There you go.
this is clearly written.
Every society figured
Every-
this out. It's just that ours figured out how to forget about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Oh,
because-
okay, so anyway,
Yeah.
back to childhood.
Yeah.
You started out in this region.
Yes.
Was
and
it in
then,
Bosnia?
Of course, yeah, it was a
what's now
Bosnia
Bosnia?
region of ex-Yugoslavia.
Yeah, okay,
so
got it,
it
yeah.
was a republic, one of the republics of
So then after the
ex-Yugoslavia.
Berlin Wall comes
Of
down,
course, the
everybody's-
89 Berlin Wall falls, and all these countries suffer.
they run amok.
Because there is no more this
There's no
concept.
structure.
There is no more
It's like
societal.
you're a
we
little
need to
hat.
invent something new, okay?
Yeah.
And so what happened in my country is that my former country is that nationalism took
Yeah.
over.
Okay.
And nationalism in the sense that being a federation of different republics of different nationalities, like Serbs, Muslims, Macedonians, Slovenian, all these were put together into this into Yugoslavia. Then the rise of nationalism as a system reinforced these people identities
Yeah.
to have their own country.
Interesting.
And so Croatia,
Yeah.
Slovenia
Mm.
started to separate from ex-Yugoslavia. That was not seen by some others, namely Serbs. Conflict started, of course. Also, the death of Tito.
He's the leader.
He was the leader of Yugoslavia till 1980.
Oh.
The fall of the wall basically allowed the incubation
Got
of
it.
this nationalist idea.
I see.
And
And by
nationalism means like a
yeah,
Second World War. Population was divided by left-wing, right-wing
Mhm.
nationalists, and the
Mm.
communists won and stayed, and the others left to
Right.
other worlds like
Right.
Australia,
got it.
South America.
But then
But then they managed to come back with a
Mhm.
capital and invest into the nationalist state.
oh, interesting.
And this is where then you start to have traction.
Yeah.
and conflict arises, and the war starts in 91 in Croatia, and then in Bosnia in 92.
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle of this
Yeah, as a kid.
as a kid,
Yeah.
as a convinced communist without ideology anymore,
Yeah.
trying to find your
Yeah, but having this part of your life, having been in the communist part,
exactly.
and now it's
I
like
need
shit
to,
show.
Now, first of
Yeah.
all, my village was 100% destroyed,
Oh my God.
so I lost everything.
Yeah.
I started from really zero. We moved to Croatia first in an apartment of friends, and then moved to a refugee camp in the western side of Croatia, on the seaside.
Yeah.
And this is where actually the story somehow starts, because I finished my middle school and I was supposed to start the high school, and I needed to find a school in this new city.
Yeah.
With my mom, we traveled to the city of Rijeka asking for a high school. And the first school we entered was Communications and Transportation Technical School and Chemistry.
Oh.
Chemical
For a high school.
High school. So you know that the industrial plants, refinery of oil,
Yeah.
that's the school that was training how to work, how to process oil.
That's amazing.
And because in my city, in Bosnia,
Our high
there
schools-
was
Our high schools have pickleball. Yours says chemistry and
Yes.
civil engineering.
So you see, but
Right.
the story is, I say, hey, there is the industry back in my hometown,
Yeah.
so I will go do the
Great.
school, and,
Yeah.
and because we are going to go back to Bosnia,
Uh-huh.
I can use this knowledge
Oh, right.
to basically find a job.
Okay.
The problem is that Croats do not accept Bosnian refugees.
Oh, okay. And you would be perceived as Bosnian refugee.
I was
No.
Bosnian refugee, and I was not allowed to go to school.
Okay.
And the situation is the following: we are in this entrance
Mm-hmm.
with some people that work at the school, and my mom is literally like begging them, hey, I want to meet someone
Yeah.
I have this son, and I have my certificate with all A's, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a good
Yeah,
student, just take him, he's really good. And fortunately, psychologist of the school
Yeah.
was passing by, and she asked what is going on.
Yeah.
And then she took us to her office and then insisted to have me somehow
Wow.
admitted.
Wow.
And actually, they made a special arrangement for me. They
Wow.
kept me like a guest for a year and a half, and then turned me into a regular student when the laws changed for Bosnia.
Like
And
the
so I
only
was,
black kid in a high school in Nebraska.
but the
Okay.
funny part of the
Yeah,
story
sure.
is that really, like, I started the school and I found chemistry so natural, like,
Wow.
easy.
Okay.
And I studied
Yeah,
in
it's
September.
totally easy. I don't know why
Yeah.
people freak out
And I
about
don't
it.
understand. It's natural. I remember, like, from September to Christmas, New Year.
Yeah.
In 4 months, I was just rocking through these classes.
Okay.
I would go home.
Yeah.
Refugee camp.
Yeah.
You don't have much to do, honestly.
I get it. No,
You,
no
you have
Netflix.
ping pong. You
Yeah.
have ping
Ping
pong,
pong, okay.
and the homework, chemistry homework.
Yeah.
And I was solving the homework.
Yeah,
I
okay.
became a good ping pong player.
You did good, because that's going to
And,
come in
and actually,
handy.
I have a diploma for, like, third place in
Third place in ping pong.
in ping
Now that America has been overrun by pickleball, you'll fit right
exactly.
in.
Maybe
Okay.
it could have been pickleball.
Yeah.
Well, listen, one of professors,
Yeah.
Željko Good, this guy says, Admir, can you, like, take these problems home, see what you can. And I go
Okay.
home and solve them. I bring. So he was, like,
Okay,
pushing
cool.
me
Yeah.
beyond what
Beyond high
was the
school.
standard high school
Great.
homework. And in January, he says, Admir, you should come to this competition.
Yeah.
It's a City of Rijeka Chemistry Olympiad.
Do we have chemistry Olympiad anywhere in
I
America?
think they are.
Probably not.
They are.
Is there? I don't know.
Anyways, I got to this competition and I was with a friend and it's 4 hours.
Yeah.
I take the 5 problems they give and I've never heard and it's super difficult.
Oh,
I don't know.
interesting.
I have no idea.
Okay. All right.
But I just see some elements,
Yeah.
like marginal, barely understanding even the question. 5 questions. But 4 hours and then lunch afterwards.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm going to wait for lunch and try to solve this.
Okay.
And this is what I did. I
Yeah.
basically invented the answers. When anything came to my mind,
Yeah.
I just wrote down.
Yeah.
These 4 hours. It was logical for me. And then lunch and then there was this announcement of winners and there was no second and third place in my category because the winner set the bar so high
Okay.
that the others couldn't even get the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Like there were like percentages.
Yeah.
And the winner was Admir.
Wow.
It was me.
Wow.
I literally floated to the stage, took the one, another diploma.
Your answers were so good just because they were literate in chemistry and nobody
No,
else was in the game?
I think I brought my perspective.
Yeah.
on
Showed that
this.
you could think it through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And based on
Great.
my
Yeah, great.
knowledge, just came up with these solutions, and they evidently were impressed.
Yeah. Good. All right.
And so I win this competition. I become basically obsessed.
Yeah.
With chemistry.
Great.
This is like
Great.
only way
Yeah.
I
so
can
something I can do.
exactly. Plus, I can beat that stigma about the refugees.
Yeah. But let me ask you about
Yeah,
that real quick,
yeah.
because you're the only Bosnian kid in the Croatian high school.
Oh yeah.
That's not a recipe for like social success in most American high schools anyway. How did that go for you? Everybody, all the kids talk. They know you're the only refugee that they somehow got in. Did you get a lot of shit for that, or what happened?
I mean, of course you get shit.
Yeah.
I can give you an example of the, not in the school context, in the context of a little store, grocery store near a refugee camp.
Yeah.
And the guy, the owner of the store, asked me, "Where are you from?" "Oh, nice."
Yeah.
"So you go to school?" Yeah, I said, "Yeah, I went to school, middle school in Bosnia. Now I'm here and started this school." And he said, "You were good at school in Bosnia?" And I was like, "Yeah, excellent. I was all A's.
Yeah,
I had all A's." And he told, "Place here must be like a C, maybe D, maybe B, C plus." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He really
didn't think that you could get A's here. Oh, that's typical.
And that's
typical.
And
that's
then
nationalism.
Exactly.
That's nationalism.
And then I basically went back to him with a journal article saying the best, one of the best young chemists of entire Croatia. I was like invited to the summer school of best young individuals. And so I showed him that, and he was like,
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
Anyways, there were these situations, but of course you need to also understand that what I found in Croatia was like a village ready to help.
That's
The
amazing.
humanitarian part.
Yeah, and that's not
human
nationalism.
part,
That's
it's
just
not
yeah.
nationalism.
There
The
you go.
people really. Then
Super cool.
my family moved in '94 to Germany.
Oh.
I stayed back in Croatia to finish my high school
wow.
by
Okay.
myself. I was 16.
Yeah.
So that was an important moment in my life because, indeed, I just
And the village is like, don't worry, we got him. Cool.
So some of these.
Okay, so you finished high school. Did you
I
go
finished
to?
high school, so I got in touch with the Italians. Italian
Okay.
NGOs were working, helping refugees
Oh.
in Croatia, and these Italians somehow changed my life because they just, particularly when my family left, they would come and pick me up every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
3 weeks, and we
Okay.
would travel and do humanitarian work
Oh wow.
around Croatia,
Oh,
and
wow.
I became some sort of cultural mediator.
Okay.
So I started to learn Italian and interface with them and with refugees. And I did this for a decade.
Wow.
Afterwards.
Oh, great.
It's just amazing how you can help others just by being there. So
Yeah.
interesting. You don't have to do much. You just be there and you show up, and just the fact that you found time to dedicate to
Right.
to
Show up.
them, it's enough. And they really taught me what it means being human,
Yeah.
humanitarian, and can
Trying
do
to help other
yeah.
refugees.
So they would finish their work on Friday, travel 12 hours, arrive on Saturday morning in Croatia, pick me up. We would do weekend with the refugees, helping them, and then Sunday afternoon they would travel back, and on Monday be back at work. That's what they were doing.
I pick up my kid. We go to Sephora for the weekend.
It's not bad.
I don't think
I like
she's
that.
exactly helping refugees pick out eyeliner.
Maybe not.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And then what happened after that? You end up in Italy?
Yeah. So one of
okay.
these NGOs said, "Hey,
Yeah.
you're like a chemistry genius. You have to study. You have
Yeah.
to go to university."
Okay.
And so they helped me to
Wow.
start university in
Wow,
Turin,
great.
Torino, and so I graduated
Okay.
in 5 years. Got my master in chemistry.
Yeah.
Summa cum laude.
You still like it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good. So you did a good job of sticking with it and learning chemistry, and then
So
what?
this is I told you that high school was the starting point
Yeah.
of something that really
Yeah.
then defined the entire my career.
And
Every
so,
day, I think that moment exactly.
yeah, I get it. And then
I
do
found
you?
my talent, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And then do you feel like you got chemistry at that stage is like something you could understand and figure out, but at what point did you figure out there was something useful you could do with
Yeah,
it? Or
yeah.
does that drive you in some sense, or how's the?
Yeah, so of course in Italy I was broke as a refugee, former
Sure.
refugee, and then studying on some scholarships and living a student.
Yeah.
I decided not to do a PhD
Okay.
because I said I need to make money, need to find a job. And in this thinking how to make money, a friend of mine and a university colleague, mate, Marco Nicola, suggested that we could start a startup company. And his family, he's like a third generation of restorers
Oh.
of art and
okay.
archaeological and monuments and
Yeah.
culture head.
Yeah.
And so he said that he was also studying chemistry with me.
All right.
He said, let's make a startup company incubated at the university. We use the instruments at the university to then offer services to restorers and everyone that preserves culture heritage, because there is so much culture heritage in Italy. We did some calculations. Let's put it in this way. We started a company, and the company still exists. We are not rich.
Yeah.
We were
I get it.
we didn't make huge money.
The calculations weren't exactly.
we're not exactly what we were expecting. But let's put it this way: it was a great experience for me because I really learned how to analyze, study materials,
Okay.
complex material,
Yeah.
and then it induced me also to do a PhD. Because in the meantime, while we were like incubating, I also worked on ancient project, the European project, and then I managed to get my PhD.
Yeah.
in 3 years. And so that
Where was this?
always in Turin.
Torino as well, yeah.
So Torino is my kind of home. And yeah, so I realized that maybe we are not going to get rich through consulting in cultural heritage. And also I realized that I wanted to really do academic research.
Okay.
So I wanted to be a professor.
Yeah.
From the very,
Okay.
even though it's a compromise in the sense of no more opportunities to get rich.
I see.
But I'm natural instructor.
You like to
I
teach?
like to.
Okay.
When I'm in front of my students, I don't need anything more than that. That really is so rewarding to me that
Yeah.
I think it's the best thing that I could do.
I think it's rewarding for them too.
Probably. No.
Of
Hopefully.
I'm pretty sure.
But being said that I want to be a professor, I decided to make a move and leave Italy
Yeah.
and move to Germany.
Okay.
And as a postdoc, and then
Because you thought there was something going on there, or what?
no, there are two reasons. One is a personal reason. I got I got to meet my ex-wife.
Yeah.
She lived in Berlin
Okay,
at that
got it.
time. She
Yeah.
still lives in Berlin. But also I found a project on Dead Sea Scrolls.
Okay.
So Dead Sea Scrolls are these ancient manuscripts,
Yeah.
2,000 years,
Yeah.
found in around Dead Sea,
Like in a cave or something?
in the caves, 11 caves,
Yeah.
different caves. Basically, these people, Essenes, into the caves when Romans came and destroyed the city.
Okay.
And so they remain in these jars preserved for 2,000.
Yeah.
And it's very rare to find 2,000 years manuscript written on parchment. Parchment is this processed skin because they degrade in a humid environment. They degrade, but this was like ideal preservation condition in these jars in the cave.
Okay.
And,
What are the
and so
jars made of? Just clay or something?
Yeah, clay
Okay.
and protected, and they
Yeah.
were discovered like in 47. The first
Yeah.
one was discovered in 1946, but just by chance, some shepherd on jars. Then the scroll. One of the biggest researchers
Yeah.
of Dead Sea Scrolls was about to start her lab in Berlin.
Okay.
And she said that I met her at a conference, and she said, Admir, if you ever consider if you ever consider
Yeah.
working on Dead Sea Scrolls
Yeah.
or with me, just call me.
Right.
Send me an email. And I called her. She said, yeah, it's me tonight. And I had a job basically lined up same day.
And why was that interesting to you?
So it was interesting for two reasons. I would continue path of my PhD.
Okay.
So I would, of course, working on Dead Sea Scrolls. Dead Sea Scrolls are
Yeah.
the holy grail of parchments and manuscripts. And then I could live in Berlin.
Did you try working on the Holy Grail?
That's a good question.
While you're at it.
Yeah, exactly. No, not yet.
Okay.
But listen, so I moved to Berlin.
Yeah.
So I could stay with my, at that time, friend, and then I got married.
Yeah.
With this woman in Berlin. And then I got a job at the Max Planck Institute.
Okay.
And so that was the moment.
Yeah.
Where I transferred my knowledge on ancient manuscripts written on parchment that were made out of skin. And I translated this into studying collagen in general in different contexts.
What does that mean? Skins made of collagen, like they were
Skin, skin.
people wrote on
skin.
them.
Yeah. So
What
it's
part of the animal do you use? The skin.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
dermis. You
Oh,
basically
okay.
remove everything else but the dermis.
Shave
and
the hair
dermis.
off.
Yeah. Shave
And
it.
write on
Yeah,
it.
you basically process it in lime, calcium hydroxide for a different week.
You know what animals are used to make the skins?
Generally it depends from region.
Yeah.
Calf in Europe, sheep,
Yeah.
goat in Middle East.
Usual leather sources. Okay, so that's what the Dead Sea Scrolls were printed on. And then
Exactly.
presumably not laser printed, but they
No.
use a hand to write
It's
on them.
in carbon ink.
Oh, okay. And that enough of that survived in the Dead Sea Scrolls to be interesting. And you were working on like the material science of what are these scrolls,
Exactly.
how
So
old are they?
I would
Where was the
work mainly on
stuff?
the
Yeah.
preservation
Okay.
side. So
Oh,
these
okay.
scrolls degrade quickly after the
okay.
discovery, after they
And you have
are
a
removed from. And then
then-
we did also provenience studies.
And I assume they've all been
understand that.
translated and people figured out.
Oh yeah, that's not my.
Not your
what
department, but
very much focused on the field.
who cares what they're on?
No,
What they're about.
we don't
I
care.
mean,
Yeah, these are.
Turns out
you
it's
can
like
also
a receipt
yeah.
for a PlayStation from 2,000
Yeah, I
years
have
ago.
a little fragments
Oh.
here in the lab.
Oh.
Actually, I can show you. They are like pieces of
Yeah.
leather. I just say.
And then, okay, so that's the academic track. You end up at
Yes,
Max Planck. What are you doing at Max Planck?
basically allows me to lead a little group
Mm-hmm.
focusing on Raman spectroscopy, which is
Oh, yeah.
a technique to understand the molecular vibrations in complex materials, and that becomes somehow my.
Let's pick that apart real quick. What's it good for?
It's good to understand. It's good to image.
Yeah.
Molecular level interaction
Okay.
on the centimeter scale.
So you
So you go see molecular level,
hmm
and then you map that molecular level on the centimeter scale.
So what's an example of a case where you'd want to do that?
Oh yeah, there is a lot.
If you have
For
a chunk
example,
of Dead Sea Scroll.
Yeah, let me give you
Okay,
a
yeah.
better
Okay,
example.
fine.
If you have a complex biological tissue
Okay.
and you have some bone, like
Mhm.
minerals that are forming, transforming,
Okay.
and you can understand that not just the type of mineral, but also how it evolves over time if you
Mm.
do time scans. And so you can do in vivo bone formation studies.
Oh.
For example.
Like you in vivo, meaning
I mean, you have
could
a
aim it-
zebrafish, little zebrafish
okay.
embryo,
yeah,
not embryo, the larva.
yeah.
A little zebrafish larva that you immobilize on agar, and then you shine the laser and you get a spectroscopic
Oh.
picture of bone forming
Wow.
in the fin.
And then you dissolve the agar and let them
And
go
it's
swim
like-
around again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Check them again next week.
You
Cool.
could do that.
Wow.
Eventually.
Can you aim it at my leg
Yeah.
and
It's,
tell
it's
if I?
a visible laser,
Okay.
and therefore penetration is, even though
Limit.
they are trying to do some.
Do it in other bands.
Through-
So you could do it. So you can't see my femur because of all the skin
Because of
and
the
crap.
skin.
But if you cut a hole in my leg,
Oh yeah, this we can do. And actually, I could sample a little bit of your
yeah.
bone.
Uh,
But the tool, for example, it can give you information about brittle bone.
yeah, you
know,
can
like-
tell if I have enough
Yeah,
vitamin D or whatever.
things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can, if you have some treatments, then you can study the effect of treatment
Yep.
by
It's
analyzing the type of my mineral that is
It's
deposited.
sunbathing my bones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Things like
And then, so you were working on using Raman spectroscopy.
Correct.
in-
So I
Max
became a
Planck.
little bit a Raman guru.
Okay.
Everyone knew me in this biomineralization community and used it in different kind of settings. And then then MIT.
Okay.
Call from MIT.
They
was,
called because they
They-
wanted
yeah,
a
they
ramen
wa-
guy or
yeah,
what?
no, they wanted me to focus instead of biological materials on cementitious. And when I started to look into cements,
Yeah.
I did realize that cement chemistry is something that people dedicated a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
to, but the tools were not allowing to really get a deep understanding of what is really going on, especially in the transient, like out of equilibrium processes where change over time.
Okay.
So the traditional cement chemistry was the equilibrium
Okay.
kind of state. You start with this mix, we end up with this mix,
Mhm.
and this mix is of these properties,
Yeah.
and we know what happened.
It
At the
dries at
end,
room temperature in this
exactly.
time with this
Yeah.
humidity and yeah.
So everything that happens in between is
Mhm.
a little less.
Okay.
And this is where I come in saying,
Mm.
maybe we can image these processes using
Yeah.
spectroscopy that has a water immersed objective, and everything is like operando conditioning that we
Wow.
reflect what is happening in the real world.
So how long ago did you come to MIT?
8 years,
8 years
9
ago.
years,
And
yeah.
so then you end up so instead of just understanding like, here's what we mixed in the cement machine, like the ingredients.
Yeah.
Here's the cement that ended up in the sidewalk. We want to know what everything that the cement went through
Correct.
on the way.
Correct.
And so you're picking that apart.
We are basically dissecting the
Mhm.
cement hydration using new tools
Got it.
that were not available
So is there a
2015.
Yeah.
you know?
But cement, as we know, is mostly like Portland cement. Is that just the white bread of cement? Everybody knows it. That's what they're used to having.
Yeah,
And-
and that's what really shocked me when
Yeah.
I started to look into it. It's like the most used material in the
On Earth.
entire planet, with 4 billion metric tons of cement produced every year,
Yeah.
with I don't know how many tons of concrete.
Yeah.
And still we were lacking knowledge on like chemistry and what is really happening. And so I said, okay, this sounds good to me.
So Portland cement ends up being the most popular mix in the world.
Yeah.
Is that just because people are used to it and they don't understand that it could be better, or there's other options, or that it's just cheap from economies of scale? Like, why is there one thing everybody's trying?
There are many reasons why this material eventually became the main choice globally.
Yeah.
It's strong,
Okay.
durable, versatile. You can make any shape out of it. It's slurry that turns into a stone. This is what made the ancient Roman revolution, architectural revolution, that they don't need to carve stones. They just mix powders, put some water, and make a stone, and this stone can have any shape you want, any size you want.
Yeah.
In situ, okay? And so that allowed them to build these majestic structures and make a city domicile and a place where to meet, because of these spaces they created, like Colossia and all the infrastructure, aqueducts to bring water, then clean the city.
Right.
They managed to wash dirt and have the cities clean. They had the fresh water because of the concrete that allowed to make an arch.
Right.
And a bridge and bring water through tunnels and bridges into the cities, and then replicate that anywhere in their empire.
Probably the first city that didn't stink or as badly.
Yeah, of course.
And then,
part of this.
So So is that the moment when you got turned on to cement? Was MIT said, "Hey, we need"?
Oh yeah. Cement was not part of my before, and I basically, when I came here, I said, okay, I think toolkit that I have, I might be able to make a significant contribution. Chemistry.
Yeah.
Look for some models to study, to basically material sustainable. And when you think about the sustainability of cement, the biggest issue is the fact that at the moment of production, you use two extremely emitting processes. One is two materials. One is limestone.
Yeah.
That once composed, carbonate turns into CO2.
Okay.
And the other is oil and gas to fire the kiln.
To heat it up. Okay. So
required to stabilize these two phases, alite and belite, which are the clinker phases necessary to basically get the right hydration product.
Yeah.
That then.
So this is the process to make cement. You start with the limestone and clay. What's in the clay?
Clay silicates.
Okay. And what is limestone really?
Calcium carbonate.
Calcium carbonate. So then you've got those two things. You've got to have a bunch of heat, so we're burning some shit.
Put it into the kiln, a special kiln that run at huge temperatures, 1450 degrees C.
1450
C.
Wow.
C. So
that is hot. And then
only at these temperatures, these clinker phases are stable.
Yeah.
That's why you need that temperature. You need to obtain it, otherwise you don't get the right product.
And what's clinker?
Clinker is calcium silicates, alite and belite, two different.
And so you have to make this stuff.
You make this stuff to have ordinary Portland cement.
Okay.
That we know how to process anywhere in the world.
Right.
And we standardize the production because when you reach those temperatures, you get those phases and it behaves exactly how you want.
You don't want to be experimenting at that temperature.
You're not experimenting.
Okay.
So it's energy intensive and carbon intensive process.
Yeah. So roughly half the carbon emissions is from burning shit.
Limestone,
the other half is from the chemical reaction of making the clinker with limestone. Okay. Thanks.
And now that we produce 4 billion metric tons of this material, and you multiply it by a factor of every year, you multiply that 4 billion metric tons by 0.89 CO2.
Why 0.89?
That's what
No, but that's how much becomes CO2?
Roughly
roughly?
1 ton of clinker produced emits 1 ton of CO2.
0.89
0.8
tons of
tons.
CO2. Wow.
And so
Wow.
4 billion.
And is that just on the chemical side, not counting the heat?
No,
including
altogether,
both. Okay,
altogether.
all right, thanks.
It's still 4 billion metric tons of CO2 emitted.
Yeah. Staggering.
And so that, then it's not that it's carbon intensive as a process, it's carbon intensive multiplied by, when you multiply it by the number of tons that we produce. So it becomes important because of how much we make it every year. And how do you make it neutral by 2050 is the question that we tackle.
Okay, so let's go pick apart what happened with you and along the way. Have you found ways to make it less carbon intensive? Are you optimistic that there's a zero carbon cement that's discoverable, or do we have to just offset?
Yeah, no.
Can we do it with electric furnace? Like what are
there are many ways how we can reduce emission. Can be that we use less clinker.
Yeah.
Imagine a concrete that has less clinker.
Okay.
And you substitute with something that is less carbon intensive, and therefore you reduce. But
like a glue, or what is it actually doing?
Clinker is like a powder that once reacting with water produces 2 compounds. One is calcium silicate hydrate, is the backbone of cement, and calcium hydroxide that fills the pores. And that these 2 components basically are hydration product, and one specifically contributes to the strength. It's calcium silicate hydrate. And this is the core of the strength of concrete, of cement.
All right.
It basically glues together aggregates. Aggregates are inert, they don't react.
Like just gravel.
Passive,
rocks, typically rocks.
Yeah. And cement binds them, and that's concrete. Yeah. Concrete is a composite of aggregates and cement.
Yeah. And I guess people tune that for whatever they want. That's why you see all different kinds of concrete.
Yeah. And so if you manage to maintain mechanical performance, but reducing amount of clinker, you reduce naturally the impact.
So more or bigger rocks.
No, less clinker, more some cementing material of lower intensity, secondary cementation, SCMs. And these can be like volcanic ash, or can be silica fume, or all these products that have silica in them, and they're activated, and they can undergo pozzolanic reaction. So pozzolanic reaction is the reaction of calcium hydroxide, which is the secondary product of hydration of clinker, and the silicate.
So the ways that you could innovate on making cement better are like find ways to make clinker that's not as CO2 intensive.
Perfect.
Maybe find ways of making clinker that's like stronger, or I don't know if lighter matters. There might be, or cheaper. Those are things that might be useful.
Oh yeah, I didn't consider the cost. Like the secret of cement is also that it's extremely inexpensive.
Yeah, it's got to be cheap.
And so everything that you come up with is
adding cost. Even if you just put bananas in it, would
it's more expensive. Bananas would be more expensive.
So that there's a constraint there on making it better by additives. And then I think from what I've seen, my understanding is there's already 4,000 cement plants around the world or something. And is that because you can't ship it? You can't ship it. Yeah. It has
to be like 200 kilometers, something like that.
That's as far as you can go before it starts to dry out.
Apart of that, the mixing story is important.
Yeah.
No, the problem is that transport is intensive, energy and carbon intensive, and you don't want to ship it on the long distances.
Right.
Because you emit.
Because you have a cement truck, one of those.
Also, that's another story. There is a time of hydration and certain amount of hours that you have window once you add the water to get it in place. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so innovating on the factory by making it carbon-free, electric could be.
We assume that maybe we don't burn oil and gas,
Yeah.
but we make electrical kilns.
Yeah.
That's an important cut. And these secondary cementitious materials, unfortunately, work only for 50%. You
Yeah.
cannot replace clinker 100%. Max
So-
is 50%.
So in cement,
So there are some limits.
at least
on that.
half of cement is, or at least half of concrete is cement.
Oh no, it's like you mix one part of cement and 3 parts of gravel.
Oh, okay.
But on the cement side, you cannot take 50% off. Like you have to keep some cement
Hmm.
to produce
Yeah.
calcium hydroxide that then you use as a reaction with the pozzolanic material. Anyway,
Okay.
to make it short,
Yeah.
there are really, at the time when I started this research, there were no solutions.
Oh, wow.
Like we didn't know how we will arrive to 2050 and
Right.
make this material carbon neutral.
Yeah.
And so we started to look into strategies. And strategy, in our opinion, is not to replace the material,
Yeah.
which will be really difficult at the scales that we are talking about.
Yeah.
And we should make.
Hard to imagine something cheaper anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really the point. And what we think is possible is, for example, make it last long.
Okay.
If you make a material that you use goes from maybe 100 years to 150 years
Yeah.
of
I know.
lifetime without maintaining it, and it maintains itself.
Sure. Okay.
It would be huge because you would
Yeah.
remove enormous
Yeah.
amount of energy and CO2 emissions associated with maintaining
Mhm.
infrastructure. and construction.
Okay.
And so that's where Roman concrete comes handy, because you can say, hey, maybe we could learn something from
Yeah.
ancient Roman concrete in terms of self-healing and translate it into modern
So
setting.
let's pick that apart. Why is their concrete better?
Not better in terms of mechanical performance, actually it's worse, but it has self-healing capability
Yeah.
that the modern analog doesn't. Because the self-healing requires some sort of reservoirs of calcium
Okay.
in general to heal the micro cracks
Okay.
and prevent the water from expanding these cracks.
Yeah. So in normal cement, it's fracturing over time.
Correct.
There's no avoiding it.
Exactly.
so
Water
then
comes in.
Water
and
gets
you
in the
go-
crack,
you-
freezes, whatever.
Exactly. There is this weathering
Destroys
and,
the cement from the
and
inside out.
carbonation and stuff like that.
Oh.
And your chemistry of cement changes so that pH drops,
Yeah.
and the water and the low pH corrodes the rebar, and rebar corrosion is expansion of rebar.
Yeah.
Expansion of rebar is spalling of concrete, cracking and destruction. And if you slow down this process of
Yeah.
arriving to rebar by autogenous healing,
Okay.
then you can think of our normal way of building
Yeah.
that lasts long.
So basically, if
We-
you build a parking garage out of cement right now,
Yeah.
you're going to load it up with steel rebar to reinforce it.
Correct.
And then the cement's going to crack, and you can live with it for 50 years,
Correct.
and then it's
And
going to
then
fall
you
apart.
need to
You got to wipe it out and replace it with a new.
perfect. And so
Conical.
let's now imagine you have a self-healing concrete
Okay.
that is able to heal cracks.
Amazing, except that it doesn't really map to the business or financing model
Yeah,
of
that's-
constructing a parking
That's
garage.
true. Yeah.
Because the people who are building it don't give a shit.
I
It'll
want
be
to
dead in
build-
50 years.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So-
And we will build new one.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
that's not
Yeah,
sustainable.
I know. Okay.
So that's
So there's a breakdown there that needs to be addressed, but it doesn't happen in
I agree,
every
I agree.
circumstance. But you're saying that this self-healing capacity was achieved by the Roman concrete.
correct. And we translated into modern.
So 2,000 years ago, the Romans built the Pantheon,
Correct.
and then they had an after party where everybody got stoned, and they forgot how to make concrete
True
for
too.
2,000
Yeah,
years.
it's I mean, they actually less because in
Oh.
1700 we
Oh.
started to re-emerge with analog.
So we figured out how to make
We started it like
self-healing.
200 years ago.
We tried.
No, we tried to reproduce Roman concrete,
Yeah.
but not self-healing feature.
Oh, okay.
And that's why we don't have it.
Oh, okay.
Because the way how we produce it
Oh,
differs from way how you make Roman.
so people were trying to make Roman concrete, but not getting all the way. Yeah. Okay.
Or getting a similar product
Yeah.
that has no self-healing capability.
And what else is good about it?
What about the
Romans?
Roman? Cool.
Why is it cool? Because it's rock and roll.
It's
Classic rock.
Yeah,
It's the original classic rock.
Classic
And
rock.
then
Exactly.
And
Oh man, I'm so biased about this. That is
it's okay.
ridiculous.
It's okay.
No, I'm really fascinated by these ancient materials. Indeed,
Why?
I mean, because I think there is something
Yeah.
in these ancient technologies, something that is called human, and we arrived to those solutions
Yeah.
in certain boundary conditions,
Mm-hmm.
not by chance.
Yeah.
We
They were
arrived.
engineered.
We were engineered.
Yeah.
And so the solution is somehow lived through this optimization process through generations
Yeah.
and generations
Yeah.
of trial and error.
That sounds like a
And
classic European romanticization
I know,
of
I know,
cement.
I know.
Okay.
but listen, so
I've heard the
we
same
have-
pitch about pasta. So,
Exactly.
which is basically
Hey,
a kind of
try
cement.
to make the good pasta and you will see
Pasta is,
that there is something.
you must have some in your ramen spectroscopy
Exactly.
machine right now.
Now listen, we start from the assumption that similarly to biological evolutionary
Right.
process where
Right.
things are extinct because they didn't work in the spatial constraints
Yeah.
and they survived because they managed to survive
Yeah. Okay.
this selection.
Yeah. They
were
survived the
select-
selection, but then the knowledge of like why got lost
Correct.
and how.
I assume that there is something to learn from the technology.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to be useful
Right.
for in the modern setting
Yeah.
and modern
Yeah,
constraints?
we
I don't know.
Yeah. You're a
But I'm
scientist, not a.
fascinated
Yeah.
by the fact that we do have an process of optimization through trial and error
Sure.
that is there. And Pompeii is a beautiful place to explore those
Yeah.
things because
Okay.
Pompeii was a Roman functioning city at the
Okay.
moment of eruption in 79. And this ash, the pumice covered the entire city, freezing it in time.
Wow.
And now as we are excavating it, we are finding like the moment, like a moment
Wow.
frozen in time. We are finding like places. Apart that we are finding an amazing like wall paintings and
But the
artifacts and
city,
things.
it's a live functional city, and then the volcano explodes. The city gets buried in ash over hours, days, weeks.
Days.
And so did people mostly escape?
Some of them managed to escape. There were earthquakes before warning that
Yeah,
things are not
okay,
going
so-
well. Many
But
houses were
did
destroyed.
some people not escape?
Yeah,
Oh,
of course.
wow.
All those that
Yeah. The
are
stubborn ones.
always found with maybe recently they were found with some gold and
Yeah.
jewelry and stuff.
They're
People
just like-
probably they were trying to
they're-
steal and
Oh, I see.
I don't
Oh,
know.
interesting.
That's my hypothesis.
Okay. We had this guy in Oregon. There's a Mount St. Helens. When I was a kid, I want to say right around 1980 or something, it erupted. And it spewed ash all over the place. But there was enough warning that people all evacuated. But there was this one old guy
He said,
named Harry. I forgot his last name. And Harry refused to leave his home. And he lived at the base of Mount St. Helens. And so Harry just stayed and got buried in the ash and died. And we had this, where I grew up in Alaska, we had a restaurant named Harry's, which had the best burgers. It was a really good restaurant. I don't know if it's still there. And it was a monument. The whole restaurant was a monument to Harry. And they're all pictures of Harry in the
Poor
restaurant.
Harry. Yeah. And in Pompeii, there are
I'm
many
sure
victims that.
yeah, okay.
And they,
And maybe they were looters, or maybe they were
yeah, who knows?
stubborn old guys
like
yeah.
slaves and
Okay.
people.
Yeah, people locked up and left behind.
These
Okay.
situations.
Okay.
But also many just stayed there and
Okay.
didn't want to or couldn't be
Okay.
for different reasons.
So there's people that died in the ash.
Yeah, yeah.
And but now it's an archaeological site.
Now it's an archaeological.
Things are preserved in a way that they weren't in
It's
other
preserved,
ancient cities.
incredibly preserved, and also 30% of the city is still buried. So we are still excavating.
Yeah, we're still.
So
we might find more.
Yeah,
You're really fascinated by this.
I'm fascinated by this.
Because what do you
for
think you might
several
find
reasons.
here, or what have you found?
Right now, for example, we are working on this. It's Insula 10, Region 9, where you basically excavate the houses and you find, I don't know, evidences of workshop, construction
Yeah.
site.
Yeah.
Imagine there was a earthquake,
Yeah.
destroyed a part of the house.
Yeah.
I, as an owner, ask workers to come to rebuild or fix this house, and then eruption comes, and the workers escape, leaving behind what?
Yeah.
Piles
Of
of raw materials,
Okay.
tiles for the roof, bricks accumulated, like construction site.
Sure.
So we are reconstructing ancient
Yeah.
construction site
Okay. Cool.
by
Okay.
frozen in time city.
So walk me through what happened with the discovery that you guys made about the Roman cement.
Yeah, so what we were able to do is translate some of the features from ancient Roman mixed into a modern mix that standards of construction. And by doing that, we were able to translate also the self-healing
Wow.
capacity. So
When was the
now,
self-healing aspect of Roman cement discovered?
we knew that the thing heals.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
in the sea, blocked.
Yeah.
In the sea, it looks like made yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's there for 2,000 years.
Yeah, in a seismic zone.
In the seismic.
Okay. So
mean-
somebody was able to figure out that the reason it's still there is because of the self-healing aspect.
Exactly. But the self-healing aspect has different nuances and different reactions that are involved.
Okay.
And many researchers focused on volcanic ash part
Okay.
and transformations of
Yeah.
volcanic ingredients over time.
Okay.
It's like a post-pozzolanic reactivity of these aggregates that turn into calcium aluminum silicate hydrate, which is a hydrate product that basically reinforces the interfaces and reinforces the concrete.
And this is how people thought
Correct.
it was.
And
something.
it is happening.
It is happening. Okay.
But to do that, to
Yeah.
have these processes, you need calcium.
Yeah.
And we didn't think about the other important. Volcanic ash is one important ingredient, but the other important ingredient is lime.
All right.
So to make concrete, you need lime and volcanic ash,
Oh.
pozzolanic material.
Okay.
And lime was not studied a lot
I see.
when I started looking into that.
Even though lime is being used to make cement in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And so limestone is something that we really focused on and studied lime inclusions in ancient Roman concrete that are not present in modern. And these lime inclusions, lime clasts, we believe are the source of calcium for self-healing processes
Okay.
that include dissolution, recrystallization in cracks in the form of calcite and calcium carbonate.
Okay. Basically,
or reinforcing the interfaces of volcanic aggregates through calcium silicate or calcium aluminum silicate hydrate.
Yeah. But in layman's terms, what it means is
cracks.
Water seeps into the crack.
Right. Crack hits the lime clast. Lime clast is a reservoir of calcium. Calcium dissolves and recrystallizes
the crack and fills it. Okay. Got it. So you're basically activating
self-healing
lime deposits that are in the cement. And so arguably, like the Pantheon might just be getting stronger every year. Oh. Okay. And so how did you figure that out?
We just put the lime clast under a microscope and we found phases that were weird, like low humidity condition.
Yeah.
We said if these phases are stable and formed, means that you need to have a little water around.
Okay.
Little water means that maybe Romans used quicklime
Yeah.
that would heat the temperatures so that water would evaporate and would create conditions for those phases to form.
Okay.
And we said maybe Romans applied this process of hot mixing
All
using
right.
quicklime.
All right.
And we then tested this hypothesis by making Roman modern analogs.
Yeah.
And we recreated lime clouds that are very similar to those observed in ancient samples. And these modern analogs show self-healing with these lime clouds
Yeah.
as the source of.
So in practice, that means you came up with a way to put these chunks of lime
Correct.
in the cement
Introduce
when it's being made.
the reservoirs
Yeah.
of calcium in the modern concrete that then shows self.
Yeah. And then have you gotten to
We got
test
a
that?
patent. We got
Okay.
a patent. Startup,
patented this, spun it out
Yeah.
of the lab? And so what's the startup going to do?
DMAT is now hopefully be selling
Yeah.
tons and tons
Yeah,
of
yeah.
self-healing concrete
Okay.
at the prices that are the cheapest self-healing concrete in the.
Okay, great. So it's not more expensive, significantly more expensive than normal cement.
So we will be able to afford self-healing functionality in the modern,
Yeah.
in every setting.
Any reason you wouldn't type of cement? Like, what's the compromise?
Compromise is, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Because it's just
I
strong.
think they nailed it in
Mhm.
terms of overcoming challenges of exothermic reaction. So they know the recipe. They nailed the conditions to
Yeah.
maintain properties of
Okay.
standard concrete. I really don't know what exactly.
Yeah. So it's the same strength.
Yeah,
Doesn't cost more to make it, really.
that's cost
There's some.
a little bit. So what I think DMAT is able to meet is 50% of the cost
Yeah.
of the cheapest self-healing concrete. So the margin is half of what the.
Oh.
Maybe you should ask.
I'll ask Paolo.
Maybe here's-
That's no problem. Not your department. That's okay. But the
It's
point
not
is,
my-
essentially in the window of being cost
Correct.
effective,
Absolutely.
you can do it in an existing cement factory.
Existing cement factory, no changes in technology,
Mhm.
and you make self-healing concrete.
Yeah. And what's this hot mixing? Can a normal factory do that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
actually, it's
what does hot mixing mean in practice? You're
so hot
putting-
mixing means that the additive is added
Yeah.
increases the temperature
Okay.
of the mix.
Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. And so then what's the better from a CO2 perspective, going back to like where we
No,
started?
I mean, there are many reasons why. One important one is avoided emissions through longer lifetime.
Okay,
So
sure.
if we start calculate that, and we have to,
Heads up
we
quickly. Yeah.
it really is an important number that comes out. And also, if you, through these additives, you increase the performance.
Yeah.
It actually performs better than standard.
Okay.
So you can remove some OPC.
So you could use less material.
Correct. And that's
Huge
also
win.
significant in terms
So
of
maybe if I'm
carbon.
building a parking garage, I could build it with
You just
10%
go-
less cement
Oh,
or
yeah,
something, or
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
more. Okay.
Absolutely.
Got it. All right. And
Good.
then I could maybe use less steel.
Yeah, so that's another important aspect here.
So you kind of open
we
up the
don't-
design space for what
Yeah,
could be
yeah.
made.
Yeah. I mean,
because-
there are many things that one could think of, and I think DMAT is exploring all of
Cool.
these bases. My job
Yeah.
as an academic
Yeah.
is done.
I get it. Yeah. So yeah, it's all right. We need you to keep doing the part you're good at.
Yeah. Now we are very much focused on other functionalities.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So basically with DMAT, you were able to like bring the self-healing capability back to cement
Correct.
that the Romans had dialed in.
Correct.
Nobody's done a good job of that sense, meaning they have figured it out, but it was expensive
Correct.
or complicated to do. So now we've got an easy, cheap way to do it. And then because of that, less cement could be used, less steel could be used. It could be done in any cement plant and reduce the CO2 emissions associated
Perfect.
with cement. Okay. So now why can't you retire? What else is there to do with cement?
We want, as I said, we want to have a concrete be something similar to human bone,
Okay.
where it's not just load bearing. We would be jellyfish if we
didn't have bones.
And because we have bones, it's load-bearing material, and that's also concrete.
Okay.
But bones are also self-healing. They have osteoblasts and osteoclasts constantly remodeling our bones.
So what is that? Is it the same self-healing concept?
Self-healing maybe is this our ancient Roman inspired, and that's functionality that. But bones are also energy source. They have the marrow is producing energy.
Yeah.
It's,
why?
It's optimized to have that space, and it has channels and all this. So bone is an interesting organ. It's not just load bearing.
Yeah.
It has holes for other functions, but still it holds you up.
Great.
So can you imagine now concrete that is not just load bearing, but has many other functionalities that we never thought about, like glowing in the dark, using it as a battery. This is what we are working right now.
Yeah.
Imagine you make your column, and column is not just holding next floor, but it's also packed with a cement that is able to store solar panel renewable energy.
Okay.
And then you charge your phone just by plugging it into
So the cement
concrete
itself becomes a battery.
Correct.
And you could maybe charge it with solar.
Correct. And so make finally possible this transition from non-renewable to renewables. If
It's interesting because if it could be a battery, it's already, like we said, the most used material on Earth. So even if it was a mediocre battery at the scale of cement, it would be a lot of storage.
I mean, imagine every house that instead of standard load-bearing foundation, you have also energy storage foundation.
I get electrocuted by my house.
Hey, who knows? We need to work that out.
No big deal. No reason to worry about that.
We need
Just
to
stay out of the crawl space.
Don't let children go to the basement.
Yeah, not without their Faraday bodysuit.
Oh, by the way, it's really, this new material has an incredible property. So what we do is we dope cement with the carbon black nanoparticles.
Okay.
These nanoparticles, turns out, self-assemble while cement is hydrating.
Yeah.
And this assembly is so that the electrons can jump from one nanoparticle to another. And so you create nanowiring.
Nanowiring, yeah.
Inside, through carbon nanoparticles.
So you're nanowiring in the cement.
In the cement. And so it conducts electricity and allows you to build devices like electrodes of a supercapacitor made out of cement, carbon black.
So is it possible that maybe the cement floor in my garage could be charging my Tesla?
Yeah, we are looking in.
Wow.
And so the question now is, but most importantly for us is that to charge it, you need a few volts. So you basically have solar panels to send during the day your charge into your foundation. And then you use it at the peak of demand from 6 p.m. to midnight. And so basically you have these cycles day, night, and your supercapacitor allows you to do that transition. Because non-renewable to renewable transition is blocked by the lack of reliable and scalable energy storage.
Yep, for sure. It's the clouds. They're fucking with our solar panel.
Yeah. So
at nighttime.
Yeah.
If we just get rid of nighttime, we'll be set.
Yeah, of course.
Different department here at MIT, probably.
Yeah, exactly. But we here in the civil engineering, we really think about how do we introduce this completely new way of thinking about concrete. As you said, if you then consider that it's made so much every year, anywhere in the world, everyone knows how to make it. It might be that material, democratic material, that will allow us to then do this transition to renewable in the settings that are not just industrialized places, but maybe global south.
But the way to think about this is, we have these kinds of pipe dreams about making shipping container-sized batteries out of lithium ion or whatever.
Yeah.
And what you're saying, which might be fun for rich people to power their cabin or whatever. But what you're saying is just take the material that's already scaled globally, higher than any other material on Earth. If we can make that into a battery, then we get them maybe not for free, but for cheap enough.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So imagine you have a
And
precast
yeah.
industry that is scalable because everyone knows how to make concrete, okay?
Yeah.
In the entire world.
Yeah.
You have a precast concrete factory making your foundation blocks that carry inside energy storage.
Okay.
capacity. And
So
then we are at the
still
early
discovered.
stages.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then is there a laundry list of other things like that that you think cement could be good for? Or is it just one or two, or where are you at with
you
you think that
build,
might be something that could be done anywhere in the world?
I do think.
And how far are you guys from being able to prove that this could work?
I mean, what we are aiming right now with
Yeah.
this project specifically is to maybe have self-charging cars driving the road.
Oh, okay. You could
Like,
make a road that charges
You could
cars.
make a road that now includes that module underneath
Yeah.
of solar panel, wind turbines,
Yeah.
kind of energy storage
Okay.
that then sends the charge to your
Car.
Tesla.
Cool.
Or
And then is there a way of, I don't know, like what about other things? You must have been bugged by somebody who wants to do 3D printing with cement. How's that going?
3D printing is fascinating. It's just
Cement doesn't flow very well, or at least concrete doesn't. So like what makes you think that this could be done?
Of course, you can work more on rheology, and
Yeah.
this is also one of the research.
Okay.
This multifunctional concrete has to fit with some requirements to be printable, maybe.
Okay.
So we are hoping to have a
Yeah.
multifunctional energy storing cement and concrete print, because 3D printing gives you that freedom of design,
right,
that is digitalized, and having a digital model that maybe is optimized for a specific function.
Yeah.
Then you translate easily into the real world through 3D printing, which is really like a bottleneck in going from a computer model.
What about, we've had interesting advancements in 3D printing even lately. What do you think, like one of them is, like one of the recent advancements is a metal printer where in the print head itself, it makes droplets of metal and puts them down as pixels in the print head. And it's actually very exciting for us, for the world, because you can take, in some sense, like lower quality metal, possibly recycled metals or mixes of metals or inconsistent metals, and just put down droplets that way, which isn't working very well in other contexts where you're trying to make things out of metal. You need very high quality inputs, these things. So it's an advancement. I'm wondering, one of the problems with cement is trying to flow it into a print head to print a house. What if we could if I could put a nuclear reactor core on the print head, make the clinker, mix in the gravel, put it down, I'll put it all together right there. So now you're flowing your lime powder or whatever it is. I don't know, things like that might be interesting.
But listen, even this metal, there are amazing colleagues here at MIT that deal with this. On a daily basis. I think cement and concrete mortars. These are mortars are what we currently use for printing cement. Because mortars, definition of mortar is like aggregates not larger than 5 millimeters.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's just a fine aggregate that allows you to have a head with
a smaller head, no big rocks. Yeah.
And the key problems there, you're right. It's like flow, maybe some shrinkage, and you can tune the.
Yeah.
You use super plasticizers to make it flowable and manage. You have different ways to manage
make it more expensive and flow it.
True too. Yeah. So the important point here is that you need to also be careful about how much time you leave the one line, because this cold joint can be an issue. where crystallization.
We have that problem with
the
layering and all
inter-
kinds of
Yeah,
things. You need
exactly.
the layers to adhere.
Yeah, and
That could
they
be a
don't
temperature.
adhere if you have
We can wrap this up, but I have a couple more quick questions. I come across a lot of ideas for sequestering carbon in cement.
Yeah.
So maybe by figuring out a way to get CO2 from somewhere and stick it in the cement. What's anything promising there? Or
there are like two strategies, in my opinion, at least two that come to my mind now. One is create aggregates made of anthropogenic CO2.
Okay, sure. So
capture
air capture
air capture turn into something a mineral hard.
Okay,
and then these minerals, these granules, grains, serve as
you got to put it
aggregate.
somewhere. So instead of landfill, throw it in.
The cool about concrete is that it's mostly aggregate.
Yeah.
So there's room.
Yeah, a lot of room for just burying stuff.
Just bury it in the form of aggregates. Of course, you have to find a way to make aggregates that are comparable to gravel,
consistent,
and inexpensive.
Okay, got it.
So cost of gravel and sand is so low.
It's hard to make
it's really difficult.
Comparatively priced
exactly.
carbon sequestering material.
The other cool thing about cement now, not on the aggregate side, but on the cement side, is that the calcium carbonate or different types of carbonate can serve as a seed for accelerated hydration of cement. And so if you have a calcium carbonate powder and you put a little bit of it into your concrete mix, the cement will hydrate fast.
Is that good for what?
It's good for construction, that you make your construction not in 28 days. That is like the standard. Maybe your concrete is ready to be used in a week.
Wow. So can a construction crew just do that, or will they be messing up the other properties of the cement?
No, but you see, so this is work in progress, but this is what...
Now it wouldn't be called Portland anymore.
But the cool thing is that it will not satisfy standards in the sense that...
Got it. So it has to get approved or something.
Exactly. But plus here, the cool thing about it is that it's actually carbonate could be anthropogenic CO2.
Yeah, you
carbon.
can make them from...
In theory, you could bury...
so if we could collect...
So what we did here in my lab, we, for example, studied the use of baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, as a way to mineralize carbon in cement. And we showed that we could, in theory, and also we tested it practically, you could store about 15% of total CO2 emissions through adding baking soda in cement without compromising mechanics.
So if I have a box of baking soda and I spread it out on my driveway, it will collect CO2 from the air? No. Okay.
You take baking soda, you put it into your cement mix in the mixer, and then you pour concrete as it is.
Yeah.
But that baking soda
it'll collect CO2. The CO2 that would have been emitted.
You collect, correct.
From the chemical reaction of making
liquid. You collect CO2 maybe through capture in form of baking soda.
Wow.
Take the baking soda, put it in cement and concrete.
Yeah.
And it's going to permanently mineralize.
So it'll collect.
Without compromising.
And it would collect the CO2 before it was emitted. Super cool. Okay, one last thing. It's very non-intuitive to people, but when we deploy these solar farms, a lot of times what we're doing is deploying square kilometers, let's say, of solar panels. They're black. And they're black because we want them to absorb as many photons as possible. But a side effect of that is they re-irradiate in the infrared spectrum. So you're getting a full spectrum of light from the sun. A lot of that's, some fraction of that's getting turned into electrons, 20% or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but what's happening is you're creating heat that's irradiating back up in the exact spectrum that will heat up greenhouse gases. So it's non-intuitive. And the reason, and it's actually often much worse than if you hadn't deployed the solar panels, because you're doing it over like sand. And the sand is white and doesn't have that problem. Sand reflects in the full spectrum and sends a lot of the heat back out to space keeps the infrared. So it's again, it's non-intuitive because you can't see it happening, and for a lot of people, they don't understand that. But it's one of the things that I think people who are so excited about solar panels are often being a little disingenuous about, because we're exacerbating the warming of these greenhouse gases. An interesting thing to do, and a version of that is also happening with asphalt and with concrete on the ground, because it's often dark and has that same perspective.
Heat islands.
Heat islands. So an interesting thing to solve would be, how do we make our concrete white? And it's not as bad as asphalt, it's not as dark as asphalt, but we use a lot of it. So like, how do we make it white? And we don't need to make it all white, but make the surface white. I guess we could paint it, but that'd be an interesting thing. And then how much does your work overlap with asphalt and what's happening in asphalt? Is there ways to make asphalt better? Is that...
Yeah, asphalt is a little bit different because different
okay.
department.
Okay.
Many people work on self-healing, for example.
Oh, interesting.
It would be cool that our road.
Yeah. Or maybe not make potholes.
Yeah, exactly. But that's really
different issue.
I didn't work on it because it's completely different chemistry. And because I'm a chemist.
Yeah.
Step by step.
I mean, you've been here for 8 years. Surely you got bored once in a while. You could.
With tenure, probably.
Oh, okay.
I'll have a
go.
I'll have
cast a wider net. All right, fine. And then, so then you got your. So then, what about the idea of making cement lighter? Is there anything that might make sense there?
Yeah.
I haven't worked on that yet.
No, but I do think often about Egyptian blue. And Egyptian blue has a lot of interesting properties, including infrared.
So describe what that is. What's Egyptian blue?
So Egyptian blue is this material that the Egyptians synthesized something like 5,000 years ago. They made it because it was really expensive to bring lapis lazuli from Afghanistan to Egypt.
To bring what?
Lapis lazuli.
What is that?
It's
azurite.
Natural analog of this blue pigment.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so they said, let's just make it.
All right.
I don't know how they exactly came up with this formula, but they heat limestone, natron, sand, and a source of copper.
Okay.
And copper gives the color. And in a specific proportions of these ingredients, and heating at about 900 degrees C, like a lime production, you basically end up with, and cooling it carefully in a specific rate, you end up with this beautiful blue pigment.
It sounds complex.
That is called cuproribera, the mineral crystal, and that is Egyptian blue synthetic pigment that the Egyptians made. And then we started to look into it because of interesting property. It absorbs in infrared. It absorbs in visible. Then emits in infrared.
Oh, okay.
This infrared emission is fascinating because there are only few materials that can emit in infrared, like 910 nanometers.
Yeah.
So if you take a camera and put the filter and filter everything but the 910 shining Egyptian blue.
Wow.
And so we are like thinking how this could be useful. Can we, I don't know, people, for example, made a use for fingerprint detection.
Yeah.
Because if you have a powder of Egyptian blue, and then you have only Egyptian blue emitting, you can
really see
contrast.
Yeah, maybe it's useful in solar panels too.
Exactly. I started to work on that, and then we need to recover that research, because it looks like solar panels are more efficient in the infrared region.
Yeah.
So you turn part of the visible spectrum into infrared, and then
tune it. Or another place it could be very useful is in lasers. We're constantly trying to, and LEDs. We're trying to constantly tune those frequencies a little bit to get other bands out of them that we can't make.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should discuss.
I'd really like,
But really, it's one of the very few materials that can do this.
Interesting.
And the emission is fascinating.
So an infrared, like we make some infrared LEDs. I don't know, so that's a solid state emitter. I don't know if we can make infrared lasers off the top of my head that are diode lasers. use gas lasers to get that band. It'd be really cool to have a high-powered infrared laser. I don't know.
Let's
Something to look
talk
into.
about this.
Yeah.
I'm really
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by that. This pigment. We
Okay.
published several papers,
Cool.
but I'm still lacking it. So it's even a biocide. So you could make like your swimming pool.
Yeah.
Out of Egyptian blue coating.
Okay.
And then probably it would kill most of the.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So
The
people are
chlorine have a
thinking to put it into the.
One of the ones we know works is the 220 nanometer range of UV will kill. That's what we're using for UV sterilization in a lot of contexts now, ever since COVID in particular. And there are now LEDs that can do that. But it'd be interesting to figure out if you could get a coating that could get a frequency, whereas 405 nanometer also UV, but it's not to kill enough stuff. It doesn't really have.
I'm
the same
fascinated
effect.
by killing mosquito strategy.
To kill everything that kills humans. We're a little biased in that
Oh
way.
my god, this is so funny.
Yeah, maybe some possibilities there. That's cool.
Yeah,
Be fun to pick that apart.
yeah. I can show you Egyptian blue in many different.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I want to see it before I go.
Yeah.
Any questions for me?
I'm glad to see people like you, inventors. I really like this. There is so much space and a lot of fun in doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
We need people to think through these lenses and act through these lenses.
Should be much better, but we did an okay job of supporting scientific research, I'd say, over the last 50 or 100 years. And we've done a really good job of supporting entrepreneurs to commercialize things. But the part in the middle where you take the output of basic research, the output of what scientific research is doing, and really aim it at solving problems, that's invention.
Yeah.
And that's not, there's nobody with a job title of inventor except for me. Even there's like very rare. It's a very poorly supported, very
exactly. It's
haphazard,
unconventional that could become a conventional way how we.
We should have inventor should be part of the life cycle of all science and technology and entrepreneurship.
Because there's a detachment between fundamental science and like real world.
Yeah, it's sickening, and we have really our best entrepreneurs dropping out to make a business out of air mattresses or whatever instead of a real technology. And I think it's time to like course correct on that.
Love that.
So hopefully we get to do a lot of them.